Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. You can catch us on YouTube, communitypolicingcaps24.org, thanks to entire technical crew Sonny Hirsch. It is a pleasure to introduce you to a sitting judge who was a candidate for the Ninth Sub-Circuit, Judge Michael Otto. How are you?
I'm really good. It's nice to meet you, Avi. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. My pleasure. And, I've heard a lot of good things about you, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Thanks. I'd be happy to. I was born in Evanston a while back. I started out my school there at Lincoln Elementary. I ended up graduating from Oak Park River Forest. My family moved. Right now I'm a sitting judge, as you said, kind of jumping ahead.
Yeah.
The Illinois Supreme Court appointed me going on 2 years ago when another judge retired. So I've been sitting since January of 2012. I'm in mortgage foreclosure right now, which is a tough call, but I volunteered for it. I thought I was a good fit there because I was a civil practitioner as opposed to a criminal lawyer when I practiced. When I was practicing, I was at a law firm here in Chicago, Jenner and Block.
Oh, that's big time stuff.
A really good law firm, nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
They've got a good reputation, but I practiced with some fantastic lawyers there. First, on my lips would be Jerry Solovey, who unfortunately passed away while I was there, but I had the chance to work directly with him. Wonderful man, and just really solidified in me how important it is to, as a lawyer and as anybody, but especially as a lawyer where the public has that trust in you, to give back and to serve. While I was at Jenner, I devoted over 300 hours a year to pro bono work.
Wow.
In addition to the billable work, so I stayed busy.
No, that's 300 hours, that's a lot.
Well, but I think that reflects as well on Jenner as it does on me, that they not only allow but encourage that. I'm really proud to have been able to work there. Before that, I was a clerk for several years for the Illinois Supreme Court and the Illinois Appellate Court, so I've got a lot of experience with the Illinois judicial system, even before I became a judge myself. So I think that's a little bit about me. What else can I tell you?
Oh, what college did you graduate from?
Oh, sure. Undergrad, I was University of Pennsylvania. I started out in engineering, but gradually through the course of it made my way to philosophy.
Yeah.
Hard science was, it was hard, I found. So ended up with a degree in philosophy from University of Pennsylvania. Law school, I went to Washington University, St. Louis. Ended up graduating Order of the Coif from there. I was a law review editor and judicial extern and lots of good stuff. It was a great school. I was very lucky, very lucky.
Now, when you got appointed judge, was this something you were seeking, or they sought you, or how does that work?
Well, I had certainly made it known to the court that I was interested. I worked for the court for a number of years, and then as I went to practice, I still, of course, stayed in touch. I clerked directly for Justice Charles Freeman, who's, as you know, the longest-serving member of the Illinois Supreme Court right now, also the only African-American justice, not only now, but ever.
Yeah.
Really well-respected man. And of course, I stayed in touch with him as you would. I worked for him for 8 years.
Yeah.
And, I'd been practicing, and the court appointed me to the Committee on Character and Fitness, which is the Supreme Court committee that oversees admissions to the bar. Were there any questions about candidates, not qualifications, not whether they pass the bar, but where there's maybe something in the past, there's some kind of ethical question that goes to the committee before potentially ultimately it's referred to the court, the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate enough to have an opening when the time was right.
Very cool. So you're in mortgage foreclosure right now.
Yes.
When you were practicing law, was there any specific area you were involved in?
Yes. At Jenner, it's a big law firm. You do what they ask you to do.
Right.
So I had a broad litigation experience, but the primary focus that I had was policyholder side insurance coverage work,
Yeah.
Where someone, often a company in our case, was fighting with their insurance company over coverage. We came in on the company side and tried to convince the insurance company that their policy did in fact cover it and that they should pay the claim. So it was pretty satisfying. I mean, I rarely went home feeling ethically conflicted about who I was on the other side of.
Well, that's important. That's good because the truth of the matter is, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. But just everybody's entitled to representation, but you're not always necessarily representing a good guy, especially in criminal procedures.
And that's a real challenge. I think you hit on a challenge for a lot of attorneys. Not only when you're starting out, but that can be difficult. When you sign on for a client, it is your duty as an attorney to represent that client to the best of your ability. Now, you can't step over an ethical line, and there are some things lawyers cannot do. You can't put on false testimony or introduce documents to have been doctored and so on. But short of those ethical lines, your client, right or wrong, you have to do what you can for them. And I'll tell you, that feeling of satisfaction that we talked about, that was part of why I stayed a clerk for a long time. A lot of clerks, as you probably know, I'm sure you know, only do that for a year, 2, 3. I did it for close to 12.
Wow.
And people used to ask me why, or they'd ask me what I did, and then they'd ask me why I did it so long. And first I would say, I kind of go into what the job was. It's reading briefs, it's researching the law, and it's writing drafts or writing bench memoranda, and I like reading and writing. But after a while, I realized that's not really the answer. The answer is much shorter, and it's because my whole job was helping my judge do the right thing.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason I was there. Now, the judge that I was working for might or might not agree with my recommendation or my interpretation of the law, and that was up to him or up to her, and that's fine. But my whole reason for being there was to do everything I could to help them make the right call, whatever it was. And that was really satisfying. And in an ethical sense, I was just helping move the law in the right direction, whatever that was. And I stayed a long time because I wasn't sure I would ever be fortunate enough to be a judge myself. And now that I have that opportunity, I'm just blessed beyond measure, and I hope I have the opportunity to continue to serve.
Yeah, I take it you really enjoy it.
It depends a little bit which day you ask me, but by and large, yes, I do. I really like it.
Because the truth is you're in a difficult subject, but you do your best under the circumstances.
It's tough, and it's tough not only because you're dealing. I mean, you've got a variety in mortgage foreclosure that can really be challenging, because on the one hand, you have pro se litigants. It might be their first time in court, their only time in court. Some of them might not even speak English as their first language. Frequently that occurs, and they're faced with the loss of their home, and it's really for a lot of folks they're upset and they're scared. People, their first time in court. Sometimes they're worried that I'm going to enter an order that day, asking them to leave their home that day.
Wow.
Or that I might put them in jail for not having paid their mortgage, and they just don't know because how do people know? If you don't have a lawyer, you don't have money. All you know of the law is what you see on TV, maybe.
And we're gonna. What you see on TV, forget about, guys.
not good TV like this show. I'm talking about like LA Law, things like that, where
That's
crazy
exactly
things
the kind
happen
of thing
all the
I'm talking
time.
about, our Law and Order and.
Exactly, and crazy stuff happens all the time, and you never know what to expect. I really try with those cases to just slow it down. Tell the person, this is the motion the bank has brought. This is what that means. They're asking me to decide the case in their favor because thus and so. Here is what I'm going to give you time to do. If you want to do it, you do it here. I tell them where the clerk's office is. I tell them what a motion for summary judgment is. I tell them what a motion for a default judgment is. I just try to shed some light on the process for them at least. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to rule in their favor, but
Right.
but I at least feel that I have, that's part of my job is to illuminate the process.
Which is important, but we're also running out of time.
Oh,
I want
sorry.
to make sure you give your website.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is Judge Michael Otto, OTTO.com. Not Otto, just JudgeMichaelOtto.com.
JudgeMichaelOtto.com. Thank you so much for being here, and good
My
luck
pleasure.
in the election.
Thanks so much, Avi.
Thank you.